The Superman and Lois series finale brought a definitive end to Clark Kent and Lois Lane in what became one of the most historic DC endings of all time. After more than a decade of producing DC TV shows for the CW, Greg Berlanti's Arrowverse franchise has told its final story as the Superman and Lois Season 4 finale wrapped up the show for good. However, for the show's leading couple, viewers were in for the biggest twist of all time as Lois and Clark's journey came full circle. In exclusive Screen Rant interviews with Alex Garfin and Wal Parks, who play Jordan Kent Superboy and John Henry Irons Steel, respectively, the longtime actors of the CW drama opened up on going into production for the Superman and Lois series finale, from receiving the script to shooting the final scenes, including the massive send-off for Lois Lane and Clark Kent. For Garfin, he recalled reading the finale script while being on a plane, which brought out a lot of emotions for him, as he shared the following. Alex Garfin: "Yeah, I did have a vague idea of what was going to happen. I remember I was reading it on a plane, and it was one of the rare moments I've cried from reading a script. The ending, it just hit me in a different way. When I saw that Superman was going to age and die for real, and exactly how they did the death sequence, it really hit me, because it made me realize how Jordan is going to grow and how this character is no longer in my hands. You start to get a little precious about the people that you play, especially when you do it for so long and all sudden you realize, well, first of all, he's not real, he's living on without you, and that's a really bizarre feeling to say goodbye like that. More than that, it really sewed it up in a way that it felt like we couldn't do this again, which is another whole enchilada of feelings, but it's beautifully done, and it was beautifully directed by Greg Smith, who I don't know how he did it, considering that it was the last day of the shoot. It felt like the last day of school, even though it wasn't. Everyone was kind of dozing off, laughing and doing this and doing that. The weather was nice and Greg, without ever really becoming dictatorial, very gently guided us through this massive episode that I think on paper was bigger than the pilot, which took us 2 months to film. Alex Garfin: "Oh, it's a testament to the character that it's about around for 85 years, and we've never seen him die fully. It's a testament to the power of that character that you would think that someone else would have been able to do it before we have, and then it's also that much more of an honor to realize that we get to do that. I'm not a big comic book guy, as we all know, but I am a big history guy, and it feels bizarre to be a part of history, in no matter what field, comic book or television alike. I think the gravity of the moment isn't really felt until I think everyone watches it and feels it." Wal Parks: "I agree, it's funny. Did you ever watch 6 Feet Under back in the day? It was a show on HBO, and it was about death. It was interesting. It was kind of a procedural, where every episode a person would die, because they ran a funeral home. So death was a through line of the show, and they did the same thing, where, in the series finale, you saw everyone die, which I was always fascinated by, because it went with the theme. So it made me think of that when I read it. But you're right, it was completely unique to this genre, and what I loved is, the reason why I've always loved this Superman and Tyler's portrayal, and again, I'm not saying it just because I like him, and I'm a friend of Tyler. I genuinely think he does a great job. I think he's 100% absolutely amazing. Because, again, for me, Tyler has his own process, obviously, but I've always envisioned that he puts Clark first, and Superman is the alter ego. And I feel a lot of times, the way it's been done is Superman's the real guy, and Clark is the alter ego, just being like, I'm really this buff guy. I was gonna beat up everybody, but I'm putting on my glasses to be quirky. I felt that this show has put Clark as the heart of the show, like Clark and Lois. That's why I remember the flashback episode they did, where Lois is talking to her friend, and she's interviewing Superman in season 1, but it's so sweet, just Bitsy and Tyler and their chemistry, but I remember she's like, no, I don't care about Superman, I like Clark. I think that's been the whole idea of the show. So to loop back to your question about the ending, to me, what I loved about it's fitting. Ultimately, he gets to become human and he's not used to it, because he's been an alien this whole time, and has this unlimited power, but to sort of just become like everyone else, just to go old with his wife and the family. I think that's what the show is about, is the humanity behind everything. So I thought it was brilliant. Did I expect it? No, but I thought it was brilliant what the Superman and Lois finale comments mean for the DC show. Even though it is understandable that many were likely not expecting this type of twist in the Superman and Lois series finale, it says a lot that many of the actors are supporting the creative team and how they wanted to finish off the show. Ever since Superman and Lois first launched on the CW, it was evident that the writers wanted to add as many new elements to this mythology as possible in order to not feel like they weren't just repeating what past media has done with the Man of Steel. Having Lois and Clark not only grow old together but pass away by the show's end gives Superman and Lois the chance to have told their story and bring it full circle. In the case of Lois, having her cancer come back at the end and showing her die at an older age is the first time the iconic Daily Planet reporter has had a death that sticks in a live-action Superman story. Outside of Zack Snyder's Justice League, where Lois' death was briefly seen during the nightmare sequences, Superman and Lois has broken through that barrier while giving the audience a heartbreaking end to her story. Whether future Superman adaptations will try to explore stories where Lois dies or has died remains to be seen. Our take on Superman and Lois finale comments. Lois crying as she holds her boys in Superman and Lois teaser trailer. While time will tell how the rest of the Superman and Lois audience deals with this conclusion to the series, it can't be denied that the showrunners crafted an ending that would stand out from past live-action Superman TV shows and movies. Needless to say, Superman and Lois brought its A-game with the final installment, as this will be a finale that will always be memorable. With Superman and Lois officially over, the CW's longtime era with the DC TV franchise has properly been brought to an end.